Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today I'm here to present the Tier 5 Okhotnik, the Russian destroyer, the new premium destroyer that they just recently released. And I have to say, I kind of like this ship. This ship is very unique. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of the Kitakami. Hopefully someone out there still remembers the Kitakami. It reminds me a lot of that. It's a very unique ship. It's a very long ship. Very, very long. And as you can see, there's a lot of guns and there are a lot of torpedoes. But let's go ahead and take a look at the stats. Survivability, we have 12,700 health points. Armor, once again, is destroyer, so there's not really much to talk about the armor. Main guns, obviously, there are 7 single 130mm guns, 10-second reload time. So, obviously, not that quick on the reload time. Almost want to say get basics firing training if you want your guns to fire a little bit quicker. Definitely is beneficial. The turn time on the guns is 22.5. Highly recommend getting the captain skill that increases your traverse on your guns, because I've tried it without that and they are painfully slow. But fortunately, you can get at least down to 22.5. But look at this maximum dispersion, 78 meters. Very, very tight dispersion. Your shells will not be going every which way. As you will see in the replay, they go right to target. It's very, very nice. Max HE damage is 1,908% fire chance, and max AP damage is 2,500 with a firing range of 9.2 kilometers. Now, obviously, you can also now, with the AP type, you can actually penetrate light cruisers. I did a test on the training section of the game, which I still... Wargaming, please, just offer training. Like, this should just automatically be in there. That really needs to just be in there. But anyways, I tried it out, and yes, you can Citadel cruisers. I tried it out on the Königsberg, the Omaha, obviously, Kirov. So yes, you can penetrate those lightly armored cruisers. I don't think I need to try it on the Cleveland. I don't think you can do it on the Cleveland. But let's go ahead and look at the torpedoes. And these torpedoes are crazy. You have 4 triple 450mm, 40-second reload time with a 6-second turn time on the torpedo tubes. Max damage is 13,667, and you have 12 of them. The downside, they have a range of 4.5 kilometers. So you're not a sneaky little destroyer that can just zip around and torpedo at stealth. Yeah, you have to be a little bit closer, or you do have to ambush any unsuspecting battleship, cruiser, or destroyer. So pretty decent. I do have to say, the torpedo speed is not too bad. 62 knots. Not a bad torpedo speed. Especially the slow tier, where most of the battleships can barely break 20 knots. Unless you go against a tier 7, which I believe most of the games I've done with this ship have been in tier 7 battles, and the ship still holds her own, so it's not too bad. AA guns are terrible. They really are. You have 4 single 7.62mm. Average damage is 7 with a 1 kilometer range, and you have 2 single 76mm with a range of 3 kilometers, and average damage is 3. So yeah, you really cannot deal with any enemy aircrafts. Moving on to the speed, she is very slow, 34.5 knots. Most, if not all, tier 5 destroyers can actually go a lot faster. You obviously, the new tier 5, the Pavoski, can do circles around you, and this is very sluggish. She is very, very long. Like I mentioned, she is a very long destroyer, and the turning circle radius really does reflect it. 730 meters for this little destroyer to turn. I believe, if we take a look at, say, I believe the Nicholas. Let's take a look at the Nicholas real quick. 600 meters, so 130 meters more than the Russian could do. But rudder shift time is 3.2 seconds, so the rudder shift time is not terrible, but you do have a very large turning circle radius. And moving on to the concealment, I have good news and I have bad news. Detectability range by sea is 6.3 kilometers, which is pretty decent for a tier 5. Obviously not the lowest, but if you get a 6-point cap or 10-point captain, sorry, 10-point captain, you can get that down to around 5.8, 5.9 kilometers, something like that. But the bad news is her detectability range by air is 4.3. So you will probably be detected by airplanes quite often. The ship really cannot handle anything that flies and will be seen very quickly. So yeah, not a bad little destroyer. As far as modules, I've done the very usual. These actually came with the ship, which was very nice. So I do thank you for someone who ever gifted me. I'm not gonna say names, but thank you for gifting me the ship. Moving on to the captain and skills. First one I went for is priority target. I'm finding it more beneficial to know who's targeting you more than preventative maintenance. At least that's my opinion. Obviously, expert marksman, very beneficial, and probably would recommend getting last stand. Although I haven't had that big of issues with losing my engine or my rudder that often. So I don't know. I still would almost recommend it. Always recommend it for destroyers. Then the third skill, superintendent, and then I will probably be getting concealment expert, which obviously reduces your detectability by 10%. And then I probably will go for basics firearm training. My thought is the guns are kind of slow, and this increases your reload time by 10%. Now, someone could probably argue that you could get adrenaline rush, and that would increase the reload by 1% or by 0.2% for every 1% health you lose. And so by about half health, you'll have basics firing training. Yeah, I really could see that, and it's something I will test out later on to see whether or not I like that. I know there's a somewhat fairly famous YouTuber that does use adrenaline rush quite often on his destroyers and on his battleships. It's not a bad skill, but anyways, we'll go ahead and take this ship out, and I will see you guys in the replay. See you there. All right, everyone, welcome back to a replay in the Okhotnik, and I do apologize once again if I am mispronouncing this name. I probably am. We are currently playing on Shards. We have a Gneisenau, Sean Horst, 2 New Mexicos, Nuremberg, Alba, Bajani, 2 Omahas, Farragut, a T-22, and a Ohhotnik. On the enemy team, there are 2 Gneisenau, a New Mexico, Bayern, New York, 2 Clevelands, Nuremberg, Omaha, Kirov, Farragut, and a Isokaze. And this poor Isokaze is in a Tier 7 match. I do feel somewhat bad. The ship itself, it's it's interesting. It is a longboat, really long. As you can see, the guns will actually turn around complete 360. There's no need for the guns to turn one way and then having to traverse the entire ship to go to the other side. So it's nice. You're able to get your guns over to the port or the starboard fairly quickly. And I would highly recommend get the captain skill that increases your turn rate on the ship. Now, my ship does not have the captain skill. The captain does not have the concealment expert. So 6.3 is actually fairly decent for a tier 5. It definitely is very beneficial because I'm able to push into B. I do have a T-22 that is coming in to assist as well. And this is going to be interesting. Now you can see she does turn very widely. And a enemy frigate does pop up. I drop off my torpedoes and they hope that they'll actually hit him. And just waiting for the time when I am spotted. Don't want to fire my guns right away. And there we are. We were finally spotted. And I just look at this. The dispersion is super tight on the guns. I love it. We knocked off around 2,500 points of health on that frigate. We are spotted still, even though we're behind this island, because there's the enemy Isakaze and the enemy Omaha. Now, the Isakaze probably will be dropping torpedoes. And fortunately for me, the Omaha is turning away and not pushing in. Probably the right idea. Now, one thing I will have to say is it does take the ship quite a while for to get going. As you will see, I will have a scare here in a second. So we know at least both destroyers are there. I'm wanting to bring my own torpedoes tubes to alignment. And oh, there are the Isakaze torpedoes. Oh, get out of here. We need to get out of here. Drop my torpedoes just in case I do die to the torpedoes. But fortunately, I'm able to dodge them fairly decently. Now, we do know there is the enemy frigate in that smoke cloud. Actually, we don't see him firing, which is unusual. And there's his torpedoes. Okay. Able to dodge that fairly easily. Very fortunate. And we know that the Isakaze is over here as well. So we know where both destroyers are. And in a gunfight, the ship does pretty well. The angle on the guns are somewhat decent. You do have to show a little bit more broadside to actually get your guns off on the enemy ship. I do drop torpedoes and try to get my back guns, and look at that. We're able to melt this enemy destroyer away, and unfortunately my shots kind of went bad. One major issue is that reload time. You can see it's taking me 10 seconds just to reload my guns, and I could probably get it sped up if I got the additional captain skill, but fortunately we are able to take out the enemy frigate and bring the teams back into alignment. The enemy team have lost 2 cruisers and 1 destroyer. We have lost 1 destroyer and 2 cruisers, and the Isakaze does pop back up, and that's probably one of my main issues with the Okhotnik is the reload on the guns are very slow. She isn't that quick either. Not as quick as, say, obviously the new tier 5, which can do about 42 knots roughly, but it's still a fun ship. I still enjoy it. And there's the Isakaze torpedoes. Yeah, I kind of figured that's probably gonna happen. Isakaze is trying to get out of there as quick as possible. Gunnize now opens fires, and one lucky hit does hit us, but overpens, so only a minimal amount of damage. But our friendly team has taken full control of A. B is fully secured. The friendly team that went over to C did get melted away, which is unfortunate. And now we are going to start the push over to C, and I am low on health. I'm only sitting at 3,057 points of health, and I do need to be a little bit careful because although the ship can take a decent beating, I mean, if you compare the combat against the enemy destroyer, even though some of his salvo did miss quite heavily, I was still able to take him on at close range, even though it's a Russian destroyer, and normally you don't want to do close range battles against enemy US destroyers. So I was hoping to go around the island and possibly catch that Omaha by surprise, because the torpedo systems are pretty decent. I will have to admit, they obviously have the very short range torpedoes, 4.5 kilometers, but the torpedo speed is pretty decent. I believe it's actually around 65 knots, if memory serves me. The Isakaze is opening up on the Gunnize now. Don't really know what he was expecting, but he does slip away from our friendly team, so he's going to be able to survive for a little bit, but don't worry, we will see him again. Now, the enemy team kind of has not really taken to the objectives. They have yet to actually fully capture C. They do have a Omaha. There's also a New Mexico, and I believe the Bayern. Oh my word, what the hell was my mouse trying to say? So I do switch over to armor piercing because I have actually tested this. You can Citadel lightly armored cruisers such as the Omaha. He does have a plane up, and that if that plane does go over my detection, I'll be spotted. But fortunately, he does get instantly melted by the friendly New Mexico. So that's one less ship I have to worry about. And this is very, very dangerous for me right now because there are at least one or two ships in sea, and just even with armor piercing, a battleship could easily take me out. So I do have to be careful. I do have to play it safe. And there is the enemy Bayern. And you can see where the issue with trying to turn really is a problem. Trying to turn a little bit quicker just so my torpedoes can actually get off to fire at the Bayern. Torpedoes are away. And the Asakaze obviously has popped back up. And he is trying to smoke up. Guns are coming to bear, and this should be good night to the Asakaze. Very, very nice. Now we are being aimed at by a couple ships. I go ahead and drop my smoke, and I was so very close to actually landing torpedoes, but I believe the Bjorn was actually a capable battleship player. He actually realized there was a destroyer that just came around that island, and so he did alter course. Now I almost did get the New Mexico, but unfortunately my torpedoes died a little bit early, and I was not able to land my torpedoes. Now we do have a friendly Gneiss now that is pushing quite heavily. He does have the T-22 assisting as well, and the shells are they're okay. I do have, or at least I have kind of played with it in a practice server or practice game, and I noticed they do tend to break quite easily, even on lightly armored cruisers sometimes. But this New Mexico is going to go down very, very quickly to the friendly Gneiss now. The Bayerns pushing in as well. The Gneiss now should be able to take out this New Mexico, and we are spotted. I do look over just to make sure that New York is not looking at me. I don't think he is. He's not even targeting me. Go ahead, open up a salvo at the New Mexico, but he does go down. Unfortunately, unfortunately, my shell does break. Now the Baron does ram the enemy, or the friendly Gneiss now, and I am rushing in towards this Gneiss now, and you can see the secondaries are opening up on me, and this is extremely dangerous. One good hit from his main guns could obliterate me, and he is within 3 kilometers. Go ahead and fire 12 torpedoes. His secondaries does open up and light me aflame, but gonna try to bring the ship as narrow as possible, less likely to actually get hit by his secondaries. But I think we're pretty good on our torpedoes. 2 torpedoes do land, and we get another kill. Very, very nice. Not the most highest damaging game, but probably a very good example on how the ship operates as far as her guns and her torpedoes. The torpedoes are very fun to play, are very fun to use because you have so many of them at such a low tier. 12 torpedoes, and you can deal significant amount of damage. For example, I've had a Fuso come around island, fired all 12, and just melt him away. It's so fun to do, being at lowly tier 5. But we're actually gonna go ahead and jump into the end screen because all that's left on the enemy team is the enemy Gneiss now, and he's all the way north of us, and we are going to capture the base very, very quickly. We're about to get 1,000 points, so I will see you guys there. So our team earned a victory, and we brought home 307,154 silver, 4,284 XP, and 214 free XP. We did 34,527 points of damage. Not the highest damaging game, but not too bad in a tier 7 battle. 66 shell hits, 2 torpedo hits, 4 incapacitation, 3 kills, 3 fires, 2 floods, and 2 assisted base capture. We earned top of the team with a base XP of 1,542. We did around 18,000 against the Gneiss now, around 11,000 against the Farragut, and around 6,000 against the Isakaze. So after everything was said and done, we we brought 270,346 silver. Pretty good for a tier 5 premium destroyer, even though it wasn't a very high damaging game. So this is going to be a quick look at the Okhotnik. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zai Jen.